teammates. But I would challenge you guys to think about earning the respect of the other team's coach or the other team. Play the game in a way that they would admire how you play the game. A small example of that would be Rickey Henderson, the greatest base stealer in all of baseball. He was on first base. He takes his lead. He starts to break for second on a steal. I'm the shortstop. I'm covering on this particular steal coverage. And as I come over, I see that the hitter fouled the ball off, goes up on the screen. Rickey doesn't know that the ball's fouled off because he is single-mindedly trying to steal the base. He doesn't flash to look in to see what happened. So as the ball goes up on the screen, he comes hitting his chest in a hard slide, head first slide into second base, bangs in, holds the bag really tight, and I say, Rickey, foul ball, you got to go back to first base. So he looks at the umpire because he didn't really trust me at the time, and the umpire said, yeah, Rickey, it's a foul ball, you got to go back to first base. And Rickey looks at both of us and says, damn, that hurts Rickey's body. And he runs back to first base. So about 2 pitches later, he takes off again for second base. Now I'm covering again, and it's the same thing that happened. Foul ball on top of the screen. But this time I go, Rickey, stand up, foul ball, foul ball. I catch him before he gets into a slide. He trusts me enough to stand up. He gets on the bag. I say, Rickey, it's a foul ball. You got to go back to first base. He looks at the umpire, and the umpire says, yeah, Rickey, it's a foul ball. Rickey looks at me and says, Rickey thanks you. You saved Rickey's body. Now, that's a funny little story, but I mean, I showed him sort of respect. It's a professional courtesy. One might say in the spirit of a really tough competition, let's make Rickey Henderson dive back to first base. Let him slide as many times. Let him beat up his body as bad as we want him to, so it'll take his will to steal away from him. I don't feel the game is played that way. I think we have a responsibility to try to hold Rickey on. I think we have a responsibility to try to throw him out at second base, get the right steal coverage and all that kind of stuff. But we don't need to beat him down to actually compete and win. So that's just a small example, and there's many other examples that you will find on the baseball field where you can show courtesy to the other side and still be a strong competitor as well. I will think another example of something that I think is important that we talked about is, as you guys play baseball, you're going to find yourself, leaders are going to form out of your groups. And I think it's the job of the leaders, the players on the team that start to assume those leadership roles to help take care of the rest of the team. You know, this might be a little bit more advanced, and it might have to do with you parents as the kids start to go to college. But, you know, many times when you're in a sports team, they like to initiate you. They like to give you a hazing of sorts. And many people think that that's okay. In an innocent sort of way, maybe it is. But I think that hazing is not good. And anything that makes fun of another person or demeans another person can't be good for teamwork. So I would encourage all the leaders here to stand up when you see that sort of happening and say, we don't do that. In the big leagues, there are examples, and you probably heard about them. I'll give you one example that I saw and I witnessed myself. When I came up with the Orioles didn't do that kind of stuff. If you were a player that was on that team, you were considered an equal right from the beginning. Matter of fact, the veteran players took you under their wing and looked out for you. I remember Eddie Murray, he would have the guys that got called up in September live at his house, you know, free of charge. If they came up and they needed to have a suit because they couldn't get conform to the dress code and they didn't have one, Eddie would take them out and buy them a suit or buy them 2 suits. Those were the kind of things to make it easier, to make the transition easier. But there's some organizations that don't do it that way. And our organization changed a little bit over my time when I was there. And I started to see some of these hazing elements come into being. One such one was, there was a prank when you came to the ballpark on getaway day. You're on the road. You send your luggage to the airport. You wear your suit into the ballpark. You change, put your suit in your locker, put your uniform on and go play the game. And while you're playing the game, somebody sneaks into your locker, takes your suit out and replaces it with another outfit. That then you don't have time to do anything after the game because we're going to the next city. You would have to put that outfit on. Now, in the early stages, it might be they would give you a suit that doesn't fit, a suit that doesn't match. You know, maybe you do a 70s theme where you have platform shoes and weird different pants. But in this particular case, they put a dress in the lockers of these guys. So each of the guys had to come out. There was about 3 or 4 of them that they pulled this prank on, and 3 of them decided to put the dress on and go along with it. The 4th one, his name was Armando Benitez. He looks in his locker and sees the dress, and he sits in his full uniform, doesn't get dressed, doesn't move, just stares at the dress. So we all get changed, we all get on the bus, we're ready to go to the next city. Armando is still sitting there looking at the dress in his locker. So the manager of our team says to a player on the bus, "Can you go in and get Armando? Let's get going, we got to go to the next city." So the player goes in there and tries to convince Armando, and Armando looks at him in the face and says, "You're disrespecting me." No. So he goes back. Another player comes in, tries the same thing, maybe a different tactic, you know, saying, "Come on, it's just a prank, let's get on the bus." And he goes, "No, you disrespect me." So the manager looks at me and he said, "Do you want to give it a try?" And so I said yes. So I went in, I sat next to Armando, and I looked over at him, didn't say anything to him, until he looked at me. And I said, "I wouldn't do it either." And I said, "How about we let the bus go, we tell them to go ahead to the next city, take a plane, and you and I will fly separate to Chicago, and we'll meet them in the game tomorrow night." So in the end, Armando looked at me, and I stood up for him, and I could tell you that I built a bridge that was much more valuable than anything you can gain by hazing someone. And the manager said, "Give him his clothes back." They gave him his clothes back. We went on to the next city. Now, the idea of that dress was to embarrass you when you went out to the fans, when you went out to the airport, when you went out to the hotel for the next city. You'd look at this professional sports team and you would see guys wearing dresses. And but I thought anything that demeans anybody else or puts somebody else down can't be good. So in that small example, if you guys face those situations, instead of going along with it, you know, stand up, be a stronger leader, and say, "That's not right. You know, he's part of our team, and let me look out for him." So those are a couple of things that I think are really important. Sportsmanship, even though we live in an age where our big league guys, and I know that the kids here, no matter what you tell them to do or how you want to support them as coaches or parents, they're going to look for the models of the big leaguers to actually act like. And it's okay to have fun, it's okay to celebrate, it's okay to do all those things. But I would want you guys to keep in mind that the celebrations when things are going well feel really good to you. It doesn't feel really good to the other team. And that's going to come around too. You're going to be in that situation someday, and you would hope that the other team would treat you, you know, the way that you want to be treated. So keep your fun, keep your celebrations, but keep in mind that there should be respect given to the other team. As a matter of fact, think about what everyone in the stands thinks of you when you play the game, how you play the game, how you go about the game, and try to earn the respect of everybody that watches you play as well. One of the proudest things that I had, and I was lucky enough to play for 20 years, was at the end of my career, I was one of the most respected players to play the game. And I think that it was the continuation of day in and day out, how you went about your business. And I'm very proud of the fact that I gained the respect of not only my teammates, but also the people in the stands and also the other team as well. So I would encourage you to take a few of those things, kind of absorb them in your own mind, and consider how you're going to go about, how your behavior is going to be on the athletic field. So that's just a few things. I want to wish you all good luck. You know, one team's going to win, but all of you can have a wonderful experience. Soak it up. You know, make friends, have a good time, play well. It's really important to play well. And I would think too, maybe it's appropriate for all of you guys to take time out to say thank you and give everyone a nice round of applause of the parents and the coaches that brought you here today. How about we give them a sign of appreciation?